Hi, I'm Shepherd. I'm a Christian who's doing a deep dive in the book of Romans, and I'd love if you came along. Today I'm looking at Romans chapter 1, just two verses, verses 16 and 17. And there's a lot in these verses. So let's jump into it. First, this gospel is written by Paul, who's an apostle who is writing to the church at Rome, wanting to share spiritual gifts with them and encourage them as they grow in their faith. So it starts in verse 16. For I am not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God for salvation to everyone who believes, to the Jew first, and also to the Greek. So why is Paul so unashamed about the gospel? So today, just as back then, the gospel is divisive. Back then, the Jews, they were not having it. They weren't big fans. And the Greeks also didn't want anything to do with it. And Paul himself got in trouble constantly about this, being arrested multiple times. But saying all that, Paul still was like, I am unashamed. So why is the question? And the answer is, it's the good news. It's Jesus saving. It's all about salvation, baby. The gospel is the only way to be rescued from lostness, to bridge that gap of sin and be restored to a full relationship with God. And it's for everyone. That is why Paul was so excited and not ashamed about telling people about it. So that brings us to the question, well, what does it take to believe? To believe in the gospel, to believe in the good works of Jesus, is to trust in him, to put your faith and trust in him, to rely on him for everything. Because he was the perfect sacrifice. He was the only one that can take away your sin, take away my sin, take away the world's sin. And he gave this gift first to the Jews because he was Jewish and that's the way God wanted to do it. But also to the Greeks, which means everyone else, including me and you. Unless you're Jewish, then you were the first. Good job. Then moving on to verse 17, it says, for in it the righteousness of God is revealed, from faith for faith. As it is written, the righteous shall live by faith. All right, so let's get into this. So the righteousness of God is revealed in the gospel. It's shown to us as it really is. First, in the person of Jesus Christ. He is the easiest and best example. And then when we believe and accept Jesus and are part of God's family, he looks at us as he looks at Jesus. When he sees us, he sees Jesus. Because his righteousness is imparted unto us. He passes it on to us when we have a relationship with him. When we get to this verse, from faith for faith, I'll be honest, I was a little confused. So there are a bunch of different Bible translations. I use the ESV, which is the English Standard Version. The ESV says, for in it, the righteousness of God is revealed from faith for faith. But that is a little confusing. And I like the ESV for a lot of things, but I thought, let's go to some other ones. So I looked in the New International Version, which translates it, for in the gospel, the righteousness that is by faith from first to last. And then I thought, okay, let's go a bit further. And the New Living Translation says it this way. This good news tells us how God makes us right in his sight. This is accomplished from the start to finish by faith. So what this part of the verse is saying is it's all about faith. It starts in faith and ends in faith. They go hand in hand together. So then it goes on to say, as it is written. And then it quotes, the righteous will live by faith. But where did Paul get that? Because it's literally in quotation marks. Looking into it, he's actually quoting a prophet from the Old Testament called Habakkuk, where he stated, behold, his soul is puffed up. It is not upright within him, but the righteous shall live by his faith. So Paul quoting the Old Testament there. Let's do the quick recap. Number one, don't be ashamed. The gospel is amazing. Number two, Jesus forgives everyone. He wants everyone to be forgiven by putting your trust in him. And when we put our faith in him, we are made righteous before God. So that's it. There's a lot in those two little verses. The next section, Paul starts getting into some heavy stuff. But this was his primer. The gospel's for everyone. Through it we're made righteous, and we should not be ashamed of that. Thanks for watching. God bless.